Well, if I can ask some questions then,
Of
what
course.
is the Filecoin value proposition? That is exercising me at the moment. So who can give me that? We're in a lift, elevator, using American language. We're in an elevator, you've got 60 seconds. What is the value proposition? So Mara would appear to be a good person to answer that.
All right, Mara, you're up. So wait,
So,
how's the elevator?
yeah, so the elevator pitch is the ability to keep your data, knowing that it's there and it's verified that it is the same data that you put in place and it's checked every 24 hours. So for any any kind of compliance or any data that is particularly critical that you need to know is there and be able to prove that it's there, there is really tremendous value for businesses. If I were to say it a little differently, if I was talking to an enterprise, as opposed to you, I would say that it enables outcomes of potentially, if you have any kind of insurance on your data, you could potentially reduce your insurance cost by being able to show through blockchain verifiability that the same data is there every 24 hours, thereby reducing the risk associated with the insurance that you are paying and reducing your costs around that.
Thank you. That was very long, but how can we get that into a really short pitch? Because I think if in the elevator, they'll strangle me or
right.
want me
Yeah.
get...
So, I mean, the really short version of it, you want super short, is proof, not promises. That we're able to store your data with proof, not promises that it's available.
So trademarked by DStore, Filecoin Foundation?
Probably by DStore Network. DStore, yes, DStore. Which is, for, I don't know how much people out there are aware, but all of the PL folks that have been on this call regularly are being nucleated out of PL, nucleated or moved on, either way. You're either going to nucleate and form your own company, or you're going to go find a new job. And so we are, I'm co-founding with Jen Bell, a company which we believe the name will be DStore Network. And we will be working on demand gen for SPs with paid deals. Our whole mission is to bring paid deals to the network. If I put it in sort of like the bigger vision, we want to make Web3 a tenable priority for enterprises, and we want to make enterprises a tenable priority for Web3. So we want to bring enterprises and Web3 together, but it takes work on both sides, which is why we make it that longer compound vision.
When I hear nucleation, I think of Star Trek, people going into the transporter and some of them not making it. So
yeah, I think
that's exactly how it feels.
I think of blowing up and turning into vapor. So yeah, right on with that.
Paul, I can't help myself but take the bait on your question. And I'll let you know that, Filecoin Foundation does a podcast. I did one with a guy named Michael Clark out of Dubai. Michael Clark is, one of the futurists at MasterCard, but he doesn't talk about his work at MasterCard. But what he does talk about is data as a new asset class. And it blows your mind when you hear him talk, because you can begin to connect the dots. And if I was going to give a short elevator pitch on why Filecoin is, it's like data as an asset class is coming. And you'll begin to monetize your data in a way that we can't currently fathom. And if you're going to monetize anything and you're going to have an asset versus this thing that we all just kind of put in a box and store for eternity, you need to have control over it. If you have an asset that you don't control, you're not effectively monetizing it. And Filecoin and all this is the basis for data as an asset class, the rise of that data as an asset class. This is coming, and it's going to drive opportunity and revenue across the board for users, enterprise, etc. And to do that, you need control and visibility.
Yeah, I was actually looking into that. So according to Accenture, by 2030, the value of that market will be $3.6 trillion. So I'm with you there, Porter.
But I'm glad you see it, Paul. I think if you work backwards from that future state, Filecoin becomes a need to have, not a nice to have. So much of the challenges I hear from across the community is we're talking about a nice to have, not a need to have. Proof of space time right now is a nice to have, not a need to have. But in a data as an asset class environment, which people probably don't see coming, continuous proofs, control of your data, CIDs, are a must-have in that situation.
Or prove your data asset or something like that.
Exactly.
So making it real to the customer.
Yeah. I mean, one of the things that is still kind of one of my, I don't know if dreams is exactly the right, fantasy maybe is the right word, is to build a data integrity as a service, which I think talks a lot to what Porter was just saying, right? Where you have data and we make it so simple that there's an interface that somebody on the data owner side can just say, data integrity as a service. You hit a button and all of the things happen in the background. And now you know that that set of data is controlled, in your control, the data owner's purview, right? Not somebody else. The data owner's control, and it's verifiable. You're going to get proof, not promises, right? But making it that easy for, you to just go through and be like, yep, hit it. And, then you get a report every so often, and it gives you the ability to check, is that data still something that you want to keep in data integrity as a service? Yes, no. If no, it takes it off, and, just super easy, but that's the kind of thing. And I think that is sort of the service side to what Porter was just talking about.
Hey, so kind of piggyback on what Paul was asking about, I would add that not only is it this proof versus promises aspect, but it's also, I think, an effective approach. It's really a gateway or the start of any organization's venture into Web3. It's not the beginning. I mean, it's not jumping wholeheartedly into it, but depending upon the organization you're working with, we know that to embrace a new technology that actually works typically takes an enterprise about 15 years, right? And so the question is, do you want to go down this path? To reiterate what was being brought up, in terms of what the future looks like, where it's a need, it's a must-have rather than a nice-to-have. It takes time to get there. So it's not just the fact that, oh, it works today, although frankly, we all know it's kind of limited in how it works. But yeah, it's this idea of proof, but it is the future. And in order to get to the future, you got to dip your toes in the water. You got to start working on it. And it will take years for an organization to comprehend it and eventually adopt it. And so it's really for companies that want to be forward-looking. And I think that's a great approach to take when talking to customers. It's not the only approach, mind you, but it seems to be pretty effective.
Yeah, I do have one question. How can we estimate the cost for early terminating 3.5 years sector? Anybody knows how to do that?
Great question, Julian. Love that question.
How do you estimate the cost for early terminating 3.5 years sector?
Great question. Somebody needs to build a little calculator for that. Plop it in. What are the boys at Starboard doing?
Trying to find a purpose like the rest of us.
Well, there you go. There's a great mission. That shouldn't take too long. By the way, are the deals, not just the CC sectors, but the deals for 3.5 years proven out? I saw some questions or concerns in Slack about that.
So actually,
I'll see if I can help you out, Julian, and get back to you on that if no one else has an answer.
okay. Just to answer to Stu, so we just enabled the 3.5 years deals in CID Gravity a few minutes ago. Just made the upgrade. So I'm going to test it in the next hours to see how it works.
Right. I know somebody was complaining that it simply doesn't work right now in terms of deal making, but I don't know if it was a configuration issue or what.
Yeah, it seems like it's implemented in Boost at least.
So Julian, is that the answer to your holiday plans as well? Testing 3.5 year sectors?
I have a very long to-do list for my holidays.
All right, with that, everyone, happy holidays.
Hey, thanks a lot. Have a great holiday.
Peace out, people.
Yeah.
Happy holiday, everyone.